of the competition, and also looking ahead to the quarterfinals and giving our predictions for those games. So of course, the Euros have been on, we have covered them quite a lot, and they are currently going on right now. But also the Copa America is going on at the same time, which is just great as a football fan, you know, because you get two incredible tournaments. Been watching so much football lately, and I mean, it's been a little bit hard for me, of course. I live in England, so the times of the games are like 1, 2 a.m, which is not ideal, but my sleep schedule is a bit messed up, so I do actually manage to watch a lot of the games. And I've been keeping up with the Copa America in close detail. So I'm going to talk about the group stages, go through each team, go through the games, give my thoughts and opinions on them. And yeah, then I'll look ahead to the quarterfinal ties where I will give my predictions for those games. So if you have been watching the Copa America, then please do let me know in the comments below any of your thoughts on the teams, your predictions for the quarterfinals as well. And also if your team was at the Copa America, how did they do? What are your thoughts on them? I'm looking at you, my US fans, as we'll get into. And if you haven't been watching the Copa America, well, this is a great video for you because you can learn all about what's been going on. So, let's begin then in Group A. Group A finished with Argentina top with 9 points, Canada in second with 4 points, Chile's third with 2 points, and Peru last with 1 point. So, Argentina, as expected, managed to win all 3 games, topped the group with ease, 5 goals scored, didn't concede a goal, and they were pretty comfortable in this. Of course, they are heavy favourites to retain their crown at this Copa America, and it's been pretty good for group stages. I mean, it's not been like comfortable, but it's been pretty good in their games. They have been tested. So they kicked off as Canada, and to be fair, Canada did give them a good game. Held out 0-0 for first half, but then Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez with the goal. What I will say is Lautaro Martinez has been the star for Argentina. He is, I believe, the Copa America top goal scorer. If I have a look here, yeah, he is. He's got 4 goals in the groups, which is just superb. Absolutely superb, because at the last World Cup, you might remember, Lautaro was pretty bad, to be honest. He was really bad. He stunk up the place. So it's good to see him performing at a major tournament for the national team now, and they're definitely going to need him in the latter stages of the tournament. But yeah, they beat Canada 2-0. The Chile game was one of their hardest games at this tournament. Chile, really well drilled side, and gave him a real good game. But as I said, Lautaro Martinez has been amazing. An 88th minute came up clutch with the goal to score and get the winner. And then against Peru in the final game, they just rested some players, rotated the side versus Peru, and they managed to get the job done. Now, Lionel Messi, if you're wondering about his performance, not been amazing. Like, in that Canada game in particular, he had like 1, or I think it was actually 2, he had 2 1-on-1s which he missed and were quite poor. But against Chile, he did pick up a little bit of a knock in the game, so he missed the Peru game. However, most reports say that he is going to be fit for the knockout stages, which is obviously going to be massive for Argentina. Although the Peru game, and I guess this group stage has shown that even without Messi like performing at his optimal level, Argentina still have a good enough squad to compete and do well. So that is a promising sign for Argentina, who look good. They look comfortable right now, and yeah, things are going well for Argentina. Now Canada managed to qualify out this group in second place with 4 points, and what an achievement that is for Canada. A lot of people maybe wrote them off before the tournament started. I think I was actually one of them. And their new manager, Jesse Marsh, the former Leeds guy, has come in not too long with the team, and he's managed to get them out of this group in what was kind of a pretty tricky group. Chile are a really good side. Peru historically do well at Copas, so Canada have done really well. massively help them, of course. Peru getting a red card, and Chile getting a red card as well, which, as you'll see, I mean, red cards have been a feature of this tournament. Classic Copa America, but yeah, even if it's against 10 men, it doesn't matter. Canada have qualified out the group, which is a major achievement in itself, and anything from now on is a bonus really for this side. Going forward, they have lacked goals. Like, they've only scored 1 goal at this tournament, which is a bit concerning. But defensively, they do look really solid. Because on the flip side, the only 2 goals they conceded were against Argentina. They kept clean sheets for Chile and Peru. But as I said, they were against 10 men in both games. Still though, good achievement from Canada. And as we'll get on to, they're flying the CONMEBOL flag. CONCACAF flag very high. North America, they're one of the only teams who managed to qualify, so well done to them. Chile, yeah, really disappointing tournament for them. To finish without a win and finish on 2 points and get grouped is poor. They had some really good form going into this Copa. I think a lot of people were expecting stuff from them, but yeah, they didn't even score a goal. Just going forward, just abysmal, really poor. As I said, this Canada game, they were with 10 men, so I guess you can kind of excuse them. But then against Peru, that's a poor result. They needed the opening match. They needed a win, and they put in a really bad display. They did do well versus Argentina, as I mentioned, but as I said, not to score a goal at this Copa. Wow, yeah, that's poor. That is really poor from Chile, who really underperformed. As for Peru, I mean, Peru came into this on some horrible form. I mean, they weren't good. They were not good at all. But, I mean, I don't think many people was expecting too much from them. At least they got a point, I guess. They didn't manage to score a goal, though, which is a bit concerning. But yeah, I guess they got a point, which is not bad. Okay, Group B then. Group B put off maybe a big shock, actually. Venezuela topped the group, and they topped it with 9 out of 9 points, 3 wins from 3, which is absolutely incredible. Ecuador came in second with 4 points, Mexico came in third with 4 points, and Jamaica came last with 0. Now let's speak on Venezuela. What an achievement this is, because Venezuela, I believe, have never topped a Copa America group, so to do that on its own is great, but then to win every game is superb. And they came into this tournament with some great form, and they have really shown that wasn't just a purple patch. They absolutely smoked Jamaica 3-0. Salomon Rondon's been on fire in front of goal. Jefferson Soldado has been great. Some of their players have been absolutely superb. And then on match day 1, it was against 10 men against Ecuador, right? But still, to beat Ecuador, one of the favourites at this tournament, is still a massive achievement, and they've been great. Yeah, just absolutely superb from Venezuela. This tournament, to win all 3 games is massive, and who knows, they might be able to cause some problems in the quarterfinals for sure. Ecuador, though, coming in second place, narrowly by the skin of their teeth, qualifying only on goal difference ahead of Mexico. Yeah, quite a poor showing right now in the group stages by them. Ecuador have such a talented team, yet Felix Sanchez, man, their manager, he was a former Qatar manager at the last World Cup, and God, his tactics are just so negative and boring, and they really hold back this Ecuador team. They've really struggled in terms of goals. Like, they put 3 past Jamaica, but that's not really, everyone's put 3 past Jamaica. Venezuela did. They were really poor versus Mexico. They're very defensive, very passive. They sit back a lot and defend quite deep. And going forward, they just have nothing really, absolutely nothing. I mean, Jeremy Sarmiento and Gunji Baez have been the real shining stars of this group stage. They've performed really well. Gunji Baez, by the way, managed to score a penalty. I think it was against Jamaica. Become the youngest ever goal scorer at Copa, which is really promising. But yeah, Ecuador have been really disappointing. I was expecting a lot more from them at this Copa, but they just, yeah, I know they're through, but they're not looking good. They really aren't. As for Mexico, well, what a disappointment getting grouped at the Copa America. home games as well for Mexico. But yeah, to lose to Venezuela is just awful, absolutely awful. Edson Alvarez got injured during the tournament as well, which is not good for Mexico. But yeah, this Mexico team really, really poor. Their manager, some poor tactics. Santi Jimenez had a really poor tournament. I can't remember what game it was, but he had a massive chance which he missed as well. But yeah, man, Mexico really disappointing, and as I said, not looking good for CONCACAF. To get grouped like that, they would have expected a bit more from Mexico. And Jamaica, no one was expecting anything really from Jamaica, but what I will say is, even though they did get 0 points, they did put in a decent showing. Like, in a lot of their games, they were competitive for a while. Like, against Mexico, they were really, really close in getting something there. And, of course, they did manage to score against Ecuador, which is great. Mikel Antonio scoring. That is Jamaica's first ever goal at the Copa America, so that is something to take home for Jamaica. But yeah, no one was really expecting much from them. A bit disappointed they couldn't get a point. Group C then, so Uruguay, just like Argentina and Venezuela. Very interesting that Group A, B and C all have a team who got 9 out of 9 points. Uruguay, 3 wins from 3, looking really good. 9 goals scored, just 1 goal conceded. And yeah, they look like the real deal. They look like many tipped to be favourites for this Copa America. Darwin Núñez has continued his really good form in front of goal. I believe he scored against Bolivia, and then he scored again versus Panama. So he scored 2 goals. I will say the Panama game was a bit unconvincing. Like, for a large portion of this game, especially the midfield of Uruguay was getting absolutely bossed, which is crazy because looking at Valverde and Agarte, you would think that is secure. But yeah, Uruguay, they've had some shaky moments at this tournament, but I mean, this Bolivia game was sensational. 5-0 victory, absolutely superb. Pelestri's been great. Araujo has been fantastic as well on the other wing. They did narrowly beat USA, and that USA performance was pretty bad, to be honest. It was pretty bad by Uruguay, but they were already qualified by then. They were already qualified as group winners by then, so I think I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, they took their foot off the gas there. But yeah, that performance was a little bit concerning. However, they got the job done. They got 9 out of 9, and they go into the knockout stages with some confidence. Okay, and then we have perhaps, probably the biggest shock of the Copa America so far. Panama qualified in second place with 6 points from Group C, ahead of the United States. Oh boy, oh boy. Right, let's talk about Panama first. I mean, what an achievement by Panama. This is sensational. I don't think many of you may realise how big an achievement this is for Panama, because Panama, this is the furthest they've ever gone in a major tournament. You know, they qualified for the World Cup for the first time in 2018. They've only been to one other Copa America before in their history. They got grouped in that tournament. So to qualify out of this and go into the quarterfinals is insane, especially when they're in a group with Uruguay and USA. The last time they faced USA away from home, I believe they lost 5-1. And they beat the USA 2-1. They beat the USA 2-1, which is absolutely insane. And as I said, they put up a good fight versus Uruguay. They were really, really good in that game. So it's not like they fluked their way through. Of course, they were helped in the USA game by a red card to Timothy Weah, but still, they had to get the job done in the end, and they did that. And then also against Bolivia, again, they had to get the job done. They had to win that game, and they did it. So full credit to Panama. What an achievement for them. And as I said, they fly the CONCACAF flag high. Who would have thought that Panama and Canada would be the 2 CONCACAF teams, North American sides, who would get out of the groups, and Mexico and USA, the giants of North America, would be grouped. Crazy. But let's talk about the US then. What an absolute shambles. absolute mess, a home tournament, and they have been grouped. This is up there with one of the worst home performances at a major tournament, in my opinion. If you're just taking into account everything, that the US have a really talented team, they have some really good players, they had quite a bit of hope going into this tournament, and also the fact that they are in a group with Panama and Bolivia, and they couldn't get out. And as I said, they've absolutely destroyed Panama every time they've faced them in CONCACAF. The US have won the CONCACAF Nations League like 3 years in a row. So you're thinking, okay, we've got a CONCACAF team in our group, we're easily beating them, and then Bolivia as well, they're the whipping boys of South America, easy dub. And you couldn't get out of that, really. Now, while I will say, they did have some bad luck, as I said, Timothy Weah with a just stupid red card in this game, and, you know, they did pretty well to hold on until the 83rd minute, and then they conceded, but, yeah, that was unfortunate. And then after that, you know, that just derailed them. They put in a great display versus Bolivia. They were really good in that game. But then they went into the Uruguay game knowing they had to get at least a point. They had to match Panama's results. They needed to kind of win it. And as I said, Uruguay were pretty poor in this game, but US couldn't take advantage of them. However, the referee in this game was absolutely abysmal. He was so bad. It's not going to show it, but yeah, the ref was so bad in this game. There was an offside goal, which was a bit contentious as well. Like, he was just awful. I'll admit that. However, the referee had nothing to do with USA, like, not creating chances and scoring, right? Like, you can't just blame the ref for the reason they're out. At the end of the day, this referee had nothing to do with the Panama loss. This referee had nothing to do with you conceding that goal versus Uruguay. So at the end of the day, USA couldn't capitalise versus Uruguay. It's a little bit unfortunate in terms of the way they went out, but it's not good enough really for a nation that wants to build, for a nation that is looking to build, ready for that 2026 World Cup. Greg Berhalter, for me, I mean, he should have gone before. He really should have gone before. I've never been convinced of him. He should go now because that was an absolute disaster. And, you know, against bigger nations, he's awful. Couldn't beat Uruguay. I don't think they've ever beaten a top 15 nation under Berhalter. I think he should go, but I don't think he's going. I think the US Federation trust him. I think he's the guy for the 2026 World Cup, which is stupid in my opinion, considering how bad they were at this Copa. But yeah, just a real embarrassment for the US. And Bolivia, as I said, are the whipping boys of South America. No one was really expecting them to do anything here. I mean, at least they scored a goal. That's all I got to say about them. Right, Group D, then the final group. Colombia top it with 7 points, Brazil coming second with 5, Costa Rica in third with 4, and Paraguay last with 0. Now, this group was really interesting. This was one of my favourite groups, and Colombia topped it. Colombia looked really good. Colombia looked really good in my opinion. Like, Colombia, any doubts people had about them, for me are gone. Colombia have been fantastic at this Copa America. In their game, they started off like a house on fire. They really did. Against Paraguay. The Paraguay game, 2-1, they were absolutely fantastic. You know, 2-1 doesn't really do justice to how good they were in this game. Paraguay didn't offer much. Julian Ciso managed to get a goal, but, you know, the Crystal Palace boys, Munoz and Lerma, who would have thought, came out on top and helped Colombia to that win. James Rodriguez, by the way, in that game and at this tournament has been superb. He's been putting assist after assist on, and he's been rolling back those years. I know what it is about him in a Colombian shirt, but he just loves it. He absolutely loves it, and he was fantastic at this Copa America so far. Then they absolutely obliterated Costa Rica, And then this was the big game against Brazil, because it's like, okay, you beat Paraguay, Costa Rica, everyone's expecting you to. How do you do versus Brazil? They passed the test. They were by far the better team, in my opinion, in this game. They dominated Brazil for large portions. They played some really, really nice football as well. And they were unlucky not to get out of this game a victory. Nevertheless, they topped the group ahead of Brazil, which is an achievement. But as I said, their players are playing well. Luis Diaz has been great. James Rodriguez, as I mentioned. Daniel Munoz, he has been absolutely incredible. He's got 2 goals at this Copa, which is fantastic from fullback. Davison Sanchez as well. I mean, this guy was an absolute bum for Tottenham, but he has been balling out of his Copa America. He's been so solid. Lerma as well, although he's gonna miss the next round due to this yellow card, which is a bit of a miss. But yeah, Colombia look really good. I think they're on like a 20-game unbeaten run as well, so they just look absolutely fantastic right now. Meanwhile, Brazil, it's been a bit of a weird Copa. They started off with an abysmal result, absolutely abysmal result. A 0-0 draw versus Costa Rica in their first game. Really, really poor. And Vinicius Jr. was absolutely horrific in this game. Got subbed off because, as he does for Brazil, didn't really perform, and everyone after this was thinking, okay, panic stations, Brazil are in trouble. But then against Paraguay, they did turn up. Vinicius Jr. did turn up. He scored a brace, and Brazil were much, much better. They played some good football and absolutely dominated Paraguay. That was a really good performance. But against Colombia, it was a bit of a performance. Personally, as I said, I thought Colombia were the better side. I thought Colombia should have won. Brazil did get a point, Rafinha, with a great free kick. But I wasn't really impressed with Brazil, and I thought they were quite timid, they were quite passive, and to be honest, from this game I thought, okay, Brazil, when they come up against high level opposition, I'm not entirely convinced by them. I'm not entirely convinced. But they did manage to qualify. Just about, though. Costa Rica did put on the pressure on them, because if they did lose that, I mean, the goal difference would have helped Brazil out. But Costa Rica, they can be proud of their performance. They managed to get a draw versus Brazil, which is absolutely amazing. And then they did their job versus Paraguay. They did beat them 2-1 as well. So Costa Rica did well for sure at this Copa America. Paraguay, though, absolutely horrific. 0 points. It's really, really poor in this group. The only shining light of this was Julian Ciso, was absolutely fantastic for them. But yeah, Paraguay abysmal. Right, so those were the group stages. If I had to give a player of the group stage, Munoz and Lautaro Martinez are up there. Same with James Rodriguez. Up there. I'm gonna go Lautaro Martinez just because he has been clutch for Argentina. Scoring goals, crucial goals, and particularly the way that after such a bad World Cup he has stepped up at a major tournament, I think is really, really good. But these are the quarterfinals, and this is the bracket now then. So we have Argentina versus Ecuador, we have Venezuela versus Canada, Colombia versus Panama, and Uruguay versus Brazil. I mean, firstly, who would have thought this would be a tie? Venezuela versus Canada in a quarterfinal, that's crazy. But anyway, let's give a quick prediction for these. Argentina, Ecuador, in my opinion, I don't see a world where Ecuador score in this game. If I'm being real, I think Ecuador's only chance of going through here is playing for a 0-0 on penalties. Really, because as I said, Ecuador are so passive, they're so defensive, they're so poor going forward. They lack ideas, and Argentina are so solid defensively. They haven't conceded a single goal at this Copa America. I don't think they will here. They might struggle to break down Ecuador, because Ecuador do have a solid defence. I think it'll be low scoring. I think it'll be like a 1-0 Argentina in this game. Venezuela, Canada. This is a really, really fun tie. Two of the surprise packages of this tournament. Venezuela, though, for me, have been much better side than Canada. Venezuela's attack looks really good. I'll see how they do against a stiff Canada defence. I'm not convinced if Canada can score against Venezuela, though. Canada's attack has been pretty poor. They're going to need Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies to step up, because those players have been okay but not amazing this tournament so far. I'm going to go for a Venezuela win, no. I'm going to go 2-0 Venezuela. 2-0 Venezuela. And then Colombia, Panama. Panama, the surprise package as well of this tournament. Colombia, as I mentioned, are in some fantastic form. They've been really, really good. I've been really impressed by them at this Copa America. Panama, they held their own versus Uruguay, so I don't think Panama are going to get absolutely blown away here, but it'll take a lot for them to win this, but I think they'll give Colombia a good game. I'll go for a 3-1 Colombia victory. And then this is the game of the tournament so far, Uruguay versus Brazil. Oh my word, this is incredible, absolutely incredible. You see, Brazil messed up because if they had beat Colombia, they would have topped the group. They would have got Panama when you got Colombia, Uruguay, but because they finished second, they're facing Uruguay now. Uruguay under Bielsa have a good record versus Brazil. They have beaten them before, but it's one thing doing that in World Cup qualification, one thing doing it at a major tournament. This is tough. This is really tough. As I said, I haven't been entirely convinced by Brazil at this tournament. They are also missing Vinicius Jr. through suspension for this, which is a big miss. Or not really, because he's not amazing for Brazil, but still. Hendrick will probably have to come in, who's not had too many minutes at this Copa. Uruguay. Oh, this is tough. Bielsa could do an overthinking thing here. He does like to do that at some points. But I think this is going to be really good. I think it's going to be a great tactical battle between Duranville and Bielsa. However, as I mentioned, from what I saw against Brazil, Colombia, for me, Brazil are not quite good enough to beat those elite level sides. So I think this could be a draw and go to pens, or a Uruguay win in my opinion. And I think it's going to be a draw, and I think it's going to go to penalties. And in a penalty shootout, who do I back? I would back Brazil, probably. Alisson's pretty solid at penalty saving, so I'm going to go a Brazil victory on pens, but honestly, I could see that going either way. So I will have an Argentina-Venezuela semi-final and a Colombia versus Brazil semi-final, which is really funny because they of course played each other in the groups. But there we go. Those are my predictions. What are your predictions for the quarterfinals? Let me know in the comments below. I should also mention, I forgot to mention that by the time you see this, I'm pretty sure the Argentina game would have already happened, so we'll see how accurate I was. But yeah, those are my predictions. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video.